Morning again. I'd like to welcome our friends online to our broadcast. Welcome. And this morning we have a really special treat. We have our good. All right. Okay. I was like, that's what I sound like. So we have a special treat. We have our choir, our newly formed choir, the Home Harmonics, and we're so excited to welcome them. And we really appreciate the time that they've taken, the hours of practice, the coordination to come together, and for each of them just sharing their beautiful voices. And what an act of service it is for the home center, for them to share these beautiful gifts. So welcome up the choir.
All right, I'm first. Good morning, everyone. I just want to start by saying that all of us up here, we are so grateful to be here in front of you all today as the Home Harmonics Choir. I was just thinking last night about how this all kind of came together, and thinking back about how a few of us had chatted prior to even some of the, Tatiana in specific, and Allie too as well, coming here, about kind of incorporating music into the home center, starting a choir or something of that sort. I'm sorry. So yeah, we chatted about that. Well, then aside from that, I also had kind of a feeling, ever since my dad passed away, of getting myself back into doing music. So the synchronicities of everything are kind of starting to fall into play here. And then Tatiana had got introduced to the home center, and kind of brought this idea to Angela, and they had discussed this before I even really knew what was happening, really. Then that same day that they had the conversation about starting the choir, I expressed to Angela about, wanting to get back into music, doing the whole thing. So no movement had really started at this point, but Tatiana kind of was the front hand of that and bringing that to the home center. Until she came to the home center. That's when the synchronicity started aligning. She too had ideas of singing and starting a choir, but it was her actions that got us here today. So I really appreciate you and your courage and coming forward and kind of pulling this all together. She met with Madge, they discussed the idea, and voila, here we are. I do want to thank Miss Madge and everyone here at the home center on behalf of the choir and myself for not only allowing us to facilitate our practices here at the home center, but for giving us all the opportunity to share our gift of voice with joyful music to share with our community. Thank you all. We are forever grateful and are looking forward to a future full of music. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tasha. It's my turn now. So before I introduce the song that we're singing, I just want to also thank Madge and the Home Center, and all of these amazing people behind me for welcoming, encouraging, and giving us this amazing opportunity to use our vocal instruments. The song we're singing today is written and sung by a good friend of mine who resides in the UK named Sophia Eftimu. Before I started coming to the home center, I tried to find a choir to join, and they were all full. So I knew that was the universe's way of telling me and challenging me to step out of my comfort zone and just start one myself. A few months later, I found myself here at the home center. I attended service and ceremonies here for a few weeks, and then I left to a healing retreat in Greece where I met Sophia. She taught us a lot of songs during the retreat, but this one just really hit home. pun completely intended. When I got back and the choir started up, we had a small choir meet. It was Tasha and Angela and I. And that's when it finally hit me. The song is called This Is Home. And I don't believe in coincidences because this is home. And I know in my heart that part of the reason I went to Greece and met Sophia was to bring the magic back here to the home center. Sophia's song emerged from a poem that she wrote in early 2015. After engaging in some long overdue movement meditative practices where she came to the sweet realization that her body is home. She said, I so often find myself looking outside of myself, mostly forward, to find a sense of completion, of rest, of belonging. I wrote this song as a mantra to remind myself that I am always at home. All I need to do is realize this is pause and take a deep breath. And you guys can find Sophia's website by Googling Singing Ourselves Home. So without further ado, I introduce the song and home harmonics. This is home. One, two, three.
This is home, where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home, where I belong. In this voice, in this song, this is home, where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home, where I belong. In this voice, in this song, this is home, where I belong. In this breath, in this heart, this is home, where I belong. In this voice, in this song.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much. Good job.
Wow, that was beautiful. Wow. Well, in this beautiful vibration, let's just come together in our opening prayer as we center in our hearts in that beautiful place that is home within all of us. Let's just ask for that presence of unconditional love within us, outside of ourselves, both, whatever is real for you, to expand in your own heart, radiating out through your field and creating ripples of effect through the field we share together, and even all the way out to all of the hearts joining us through our broadcasts, wherever they may be and at whatever time they may hear this. And we'll just grow that brilliance of that unconditional love as we open our minds and our hearts to hear whatever is perfectly right for us on our own individual paths as we listen to Reverend Jennifer's message this morning. And so it is. Thank you. Now I'll introduce Reverend Jen.
I'm so glad you had to follow that because I was the same way. I was like, whoa. I looked at Tasha. I was like, is my mascara okay? That was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. That was just lovely. So happy Valentine's Day, Eve. Yeah, I had somebody, where's that somebody? I had somebody sit here. I heard somebody say, oh, you're going to talk about Valentine's Day? How original. And I'm looking at him right now. So I'm hoping that it is a little bit original. And when I was considering what I wanted to talk about, I thought about the emotions that may come up for some around Valentine's Day. And this day can be full of gifts and tokens of affection, romance, love, a time to celebrate our relationships. And maybe for others, it's a day of dread. Maybe they've come through a breakup or a tough relationship, or maybe they're not in a romantic relationship. Maybe they're thinking about the expense of all of it and the way that these holidays are really commercialized. And I know when I've been singled or not partnered or come through a tough relationship, my emotions around Valentine's Day are usually like, that's not exactly how I feel, but this is church. So, so I wanted to be, conscientious around that. And so I think that those emotions can be all over the place for us as we come upon this day. And I'm sharing this because that is not where I'm going to go with this message. I want to share thoughts about the context of spirituality or spiritual perspective on Valentine's Day. So I want to give a little bit of history because I love research. So I love finding out origins of things. And so Valentine's Day can be traced back to ancient Roman times. And there was a festival that was dedicated to the god of fertility, Lupercus. I think I said that, Lupercus. And during these festivals, men would offer small tokens of affection to the women in their lives. And it's said that the young men in the cities and in the towns would run around the streets whipping women with animal hides because they believed that would make them more fertile. So thank God we don't have that practice today because that would just basically make me mad. I don't know if that would make me fertile, but it would make me mad. So there's a man that told them. Exactly. And there's lots of information regarding the history and significance of some of those pagan festivals. So I encourage you, if that's of interest, to look into that. But the pagan celebration eventually evolved into and became associated with the Christian feast honoring Saint Valentine. And there's lots of stories and legends around Saint Valentine. The Catholic Church recognizes at least 3 saints named Valentine who were all martyred. And one legend says that Valentine was a priest in the 3rd century in Rome. And the Emperor Claudius II declared that single men made better soldiers or warriors, and so than men that were married or with families. And so he outlawed marriage for young men. And Valentine defied Claudius as he thought that this decree was just completely unjust. And he continued to perform marriages secretly for young lovers. So when Claudius discovered this, he ordered Valentine to be put to death. Other stories around Saint Valentine being from Tournai, and he was a bishop, and they say that was the true namesake of the holiday. Claudius beheaded him as well. I know. But still, there's other stories that suggest that Valentine was executed as he was trying to help Christians escape the Roman prisons that were really, really harsh. One legend says that Valentine, in fact, himself was imprisoned in one of those prisons. And he fell in love with a young woman while he was in prison that was coming to visit him. And it was said that she was the jailer's daughter. So, and before his death, he wrote her a love letter and he signed it, "From your Valentine." And that's still an expression that we use nowadays. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So, whatever the truth is, who knows? But it does show all of the stories align with Valentine as being heroic and sympathetic and a romantic figure. So, there's the little history of Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day is generally associated with romance and love. And it's commonly celebrated as a non religious holiday or a not spiritually based holiday. But surprisingly, there are strong spiritual connections to the day as well. And the day can have a deeper spiritual meaning. This day can encourage us to open our hearts and our minds to the sacred within each of us and to be generous in spirit, even when things are tough. And it allows us to continue to express our connection to the divine. And in many spiritual traditions, love is seen as the highest and the most powerful emotion that we can experience. Love is that connection that binds all of us together. And love is seen as a reflection of the divine. So when we're experiencing love, we're experiencing aspects or a glimpse of the divine. Valentine's Day can be an opportunity for us to reflect on areas in our life like love or connection. Maybe it's an opportunity to look at how far we've come on our own spiritual journey or our own journey to loving ourselves. So how can we incorporate some of these spiritual perspectives or spiritual meanings into Valentine's Day? Well, we can look at things like focusing on those who bring love and joy into our lives, taking time to sit or meditate or pray on the love that we do have in our lives. Perhaps reflecting on our own spiritual growth or evolution for the love of ourselves as we are learning to or embracing that love for ourselves. We can look at this day as a time to look within. There's a lot of conversation swirling around love and romance and all of those things, and that can help us explore our own thoughts and feelings about our own inner healing journey towards loving ourselves. And if Valentine's Day brings up some painful or maybe hurtful emotions or memories, we can choose to reframe it from that like kind of feelings and those past hurts. We can choose to lean into the love of the divine and continue to move past those hurts and heal. We can use this day as a point of transformation, transforming our self-esteem from hurt or pain or suffering, and really reclaiming our joy, our growth, mending those internal connections, and maybe restoring some bonds with some loved ones, creating and nurturing those meaningful connections, those meaningful relationships. We can look at Valentine's Day as a fresh start, reminding us the significance of new beginnings. And sometimes we know we have to tear down those structures, deconstruct those patterns, those ways of thinking, those beliefs that we have to make room for those greater things. And we talk about that a lot here, letting go of those things that are holding us back, that don't serve us, and opening up and creating that space for those greater things to happen. Opening our arms to receive what the universe has to offer, what the divine has in store for us. And embracing that newness around us as we create that space for transformation and growth. This time of year can be a reminder of the universal truth of unconditional love that exists everywhere and within each of us. Because we're all connected through those shared experiences of unconditional love. Whether we're partnered or not, Valentine's Day can be a focus on the spirit of love that surrounds each of us. And maybe that brings a little bit of hope and a little bit of joy as we move forward. Valentine's Day can be a reminder of the immense value within each of us, which sometimes we forget or we overlook. This time of year, we show love and appreciation to those that are close to us and those that are close to our hearts. But the spiritual meaning can bring a greater significance. And sometimes we fall into those patterns of not having enough or not being enough. And if we had just a little bit more, or if we were just a little bit more, then we would be fulfilled, or then we would feel love or happy, or we would be content. But we can use this day to recognize that we are already enough. just exactly the way we are. And when we express gratitude for our own spirit, that's self-love, expressing gratitude for our own spirit. Because positive changes come through that, from us experience that kind of unconditional love, bringing us to that place of peace and contentment. It can be a day or an opportunity to reflect on forgiveness. Maybe forgiving ourselves or partners or past partners, maybe those that we feel have wronged us or that we've wronged. And that can offer us an opportunity to truly open our hearts to understanding and a greater sense of peace, leading us to more compassion for others, which allows us to create those stronger relationships. It can also bring us to a higher awareness of ourselves. Valentine's Day gives us an opportunity to open our heart and our minds to embrace the idea of soulmates, those souls that we're meant to meet here, that we're destined to meet in this lifetime. And we can take that time to truly examine the possibility of calling that true flame forward and preparing for that magical meeting, whatever that looks like in divine timing. Perhaps we do that through affirmations or meditations or prayer. We all know about intention setting. Many of us do that, and we know that we can set those intentions and release anything that's holding that back from that receiving that gratitude. And gracefully, we can share that whatever form of love is manifesting within us. And we can take time to recognize potential soulmates and acknowledging ourselves in that divine love. So I encourage you to take some time for yourself and for your relationships. Reflect on your blessings, as it's an opportunity to express your gratitude for everything that we are blessed with. I invite you to consider looking at this day or this time of year from the spiritual perspectives or the spiritual meanings. Maybe it's around self-love or loving others more deeply, appreciating our relationships, that deep love that the divine has for each of us. And of course, it's nice to be showered with gifts and cards and tokens of affection. That feel, all of those normal things or those traditional things around the holiday. But really, it's an opportunity or an excuse to align with the tangible love and recognize our own glory and our own worth. So I'd like to close this message with a reminder or an acknowledgement that each and every one of us is special and truly worthy of love, no matter our background, our circumstances, our experiences. And that we should be celebrated every day, celebrating ourselves every single day, loving ourselves, and always connecting with the true source of the divine. Knowing that love is the greatest force in the universe. And when we attune to that frequency, we raise our vibrations. And we can raise that vibration all year long. And so then every day can be like Valentine's Day. So I am going to have a little gift. And so I'm going to pass around some old school Valentine's Day cards. So there's a couple little fun ones in there. So pass those around, and there's like one of the envelopes, there's like a little sticky, I'm not really sure what it is. So surprise. It's like a sticky heart thing. Not really sure what it is. So this morning we're going to do something a little different. Instead of doing special music or a meditation, Madge is going to come up and lead us in a song.
Give you a chance to get your Valentine's. Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Yay.
So while the basket for the Valentines are going around, I just really want to thank the group for the singing and pulling it together and that magical process of that song showing up for Tatiana to bring that forward. You guys did great. Mm-hmm. I have to tell you, the first time I heard them, they had practiced one day, and then they came downstairs. We were doing treasure mapping, and I said, "Oh, give us a preview." I ugly cried. I didn't just cry; I ugly cried. It just yanked something out of me so deep. It was just something that only music can do, I tell you. But it's wonderful. You guys did a beautiful job. So the song that we're going to sing today is the song that we closed Drum Circle with yesterday. It's a Sufi song, and I'm going to invite my friend Noor to come up and sing with me. She's part of our Drum Circle, and she came in, and she knows this song because they do this at the Universal Peace Dances as well. So her and I are going to sing this song for you as soon as that basket gets around, so you can pay attention to it.
Thank you for being willing to do it as it got
Yeah.
sprung on you.
Yeah, it's like being at Drum Circle, and I know there's a lot of good singers out here, so you only have to hear me once and then expect everybody else to jump in. Start a little higher. Oh, I sing a little too low. I'm alto. Yeah.
That's okay. Join your whatever face you want.
You're a soprano, huh?
It's okay.
My mother was a soprano, and then so her and we're not in the same key, and so I'd have to either go really low or she'd have to go really high, and both of us out of our reach to sing together. All right, I'm not sure where the basket went, but it'll make the rest of the way around. Oh, okay. All right, so the song is a Sufi song, and it's all I want from you is let's see. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. That's the whole song. It's really beautiful. And I'll just get a little rhythm with the drum. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. Sing it to each other. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. One more time. All I want from you is forever to remember me as loving you. Valentine's today. That's right. Okay, I'm gonna invite Kendra back up to wrap it up for us. And then I'll come back with the announcements.
Make it a long prayer because I'm short.
Well, right now we'll move into the next portion of our service, which is our offering. And so knowing that this beautiful space has been created completely by the hearts of volunteers for 30 years, and we continue forward in that way for now. We'll see how it evolves. And if somebody doesn't mind passing the basket, awesome. And so we'll just take our offering in our hands and just bless it, knowing that as we give, it flows through the Home Spiritual Center, creating the most beautiful space, and that love and that generosity and that frequency is amplified, and it flows through the universe, and it comes right back to us, blessing our life with God's will for our life, with love's will for our life, in the highest way that serves our wants, needs, and desires that are for our highest and our greatest good. So it is. Amen. So it is. And as Connie passes the basket, or as the basket goes around, I just wanted to read an inspirational story from our book, Pray a Word a Day. And this is a book that Reverend Madge gave to the ministerial team, I think for Christmas or as a gift one time. So we all have this book. And it's called Pray a Word a Day, Connecting with God One Word at a Time. And so I just invite you to hear it in whatever way lands for you. And this is an inspirational story about daring, about courage. And it says, those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly. Yes. And the short story that goes with that says, I can't do it, James yelled. At 4 years old, James, who can swim, often had to be talked into things, including going to Disney World, trying cake, and apparently jumping into a lake while wearing a life jacket. We've learned that sometimes we need to encourage him to try or else he'll miss out. I can't, he would continue to say. I'm too scared. And so his mother swam closer to him and said, then be scared and do it anyways. And his brow furrowed as he considered her words, and then he jumped. And as much as you can jump from a float that's directly on water. And then he did it again and again and again. And later, when he was snuggled up in a warm towel, I asked him, what was his highlight of the day? And he said, jumping in, Mama. He said, sometimes I need to dare to get my best reward. Yes. And so the prayer for that says, God, give me the confidence to trust in you always. Amen. All right. And we'll invite
You
everyone.
can do the closing prayer,
Okay.
and we'll close our broadcast.
Okay, that was a closing prayer.
Oh.
That's okay. Okay. That's okay. Okay, we could do another one. Okay. So let's come into our heart space. You're right. Yes, you're right. You're right. My bad. Coming into our heart space, as we just remember that beautiful message we just received from Reverend Jen about this presence of unconditional love, especially on Valentine's Day. And that is the peace that is always with us, no matter what interactions we have with ourselves or each other. That this faith and this courage to open our hearts to faith is what gives us access to this unconditional love. And so as we invite that presence into our own hearts to strengthen us for this beautiful holiday that we call Valentine's Day, and we allow that love to move through us and into the world, blessing all that we come in contact with. Amen. Amen. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see everyone who's joining us online. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.